Okay, so the flight sim goes in here. Obviously, all of these walls are going to be closed up. The ultra-wide monitor sits right here. It might end up, well, basically right there. Computers in the wall, everything else is, all the cables in the wall. There's one cable run that runs directly into this to the front. That's it. Everything else will just live inside of there. So really, it stops here. Everything after this is scenic, obviously. There's going to be a bass shaker, a base shaker, butt shaker they call it, underneath the seat. That's the only mechanical thing back here. For this, now I'm open to ideas. I was thinking something, basic frame, and then sort of bending a piece of aluminum around it to make a rounded shape. There might be better ways to do it. I just think that's the simplest. And then we would paint it. And then the cockpit is kind of, a separate piece, most likely. One thing I think we could consider is this has a railing system. It's not a great system, but it does work with these things that go in there, and that's like your bolt sort of. It holds it in the railing. They're in like these rails here. And there are some extra pieces. So like we have, these don't have a partner, but these all have a partner. So we could start, like on the rail. One of these pieces could go on there and kind of give us like a point of contact to make the whole thing secure. It's just an idea. Like we have these pieces as a tool. There's some other stuff that we could use that, slots into the rail. Like this is for a driving, for a wheel, but it could be a cross brace. And again, like it would fit the railing system. So we could start with something like that, use the parts that we have. Otherwise we just like directly attach. I don't really, like whatever works. I'm just trying to lay all the options out there. And then, I think we just paint that, make it look nice. The wings, I'm thinking like it could be cool to have wings, I don't know, as like prints on the ground or something. But part of the problem is that the silhouette of the plane itself is like, it's like an abstract. It's not really a plane. So I think the tail will look cool, but I wonder if adding the wings like kind of makes it more obvious that the proportions are all wrong, So maybe we just don't add the wings. Then for this, it has, like its logo of the company and stuff. I would like to do, this could be print, it could be like a custom order print. Or, in a perfect world, like it'd be cool to have some like little crocheted thing. I don't really know. Probably a print makes more sense. It also looks more like an actual aviation thing. So some kind of like cover for this, that makes it look branded, Museum of Redlands. And also, that could be washed. Although, like, oh, this is like a washable surface. Who cares? Just wipe that down with Clorox. I'm going to wire all the electronics into here, but the throttle's going to sit on this thing. Flight stick here. This is probably just going to be left. I might put like a rubberized kind of metal looking not corrugated, what do they call that? Where it has like the diamond pattern in it. Some kind of mat in there to make it look like it could feasibly be the floor of an aircraft. That's it. I think the cockpit is the other part of it we can talk about. I think if we are going to build some kind of like interesting gauge cluster of sorts, we probably would want to use some of this stuff because like this is already designed to come up and over for steering wheel, but I'm using the flight stick instead. But I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm totally open to, I like the idea of gauges, but I almost wonder if like leaving it open sort of allows, I don't know, a little more mind's eye, suspension of disbelief kind of thing, as you're sort of sucked into the screen. It's kind of a philosophical thing we can talk about because I'm not really sure what the best move is there. But that's the basic idea. I think we want it to look branded. We want the back to look cool. You get the idea. I don't need to list them out. Monitor number 2, I was thinking at one point maybe it'd go on the tail. I think instead it's going to go on the wall here, so that's not a big deal. Electronics for the tail, I think we probably will run one wire for like a tail light. You know, they have like the red and green, I think it is, or red and white for starboard and port side of the, is that what they use for aviation? Is it naval terms? Whatever. So it'd be cool to have those lights on either side of the tail. I think that's the only light. I mean, I don't really know what else would make sense to put on there. So yeah, that's it. And I just talked with Nathan, and he was thrilled to bring you on board. So we will talk about what days make sense to come out here and all of that. And then we'll talk about, you know, like a contract and all that sort of thing. I will be back here on September 3rd, but probably the date that makes the most sense for you to come out here once we've started working on this in LA is probably, it would either be the 10th, or whatever that Wednesday is, a week from the 3rd, I think it'd be the 10th, or the week after that. So September like 17th or whatever. That's what I'm thinking currently. Let me know your thoughts. I just thought a video would be kind of helpful to sort of walk around this thing, and we can always FaceTime or whatever, but I don't want to, you know, waste your time. And one thing I should mention is the seat is adjustable. It doesn't really matter. It will matter just in terms of like, you know, we'll need to give a little bit of allowance for the seat to slide back and forth. Yeah, that's it. We have lots of spare parts. So anything that we can use, I think we should. And actually today, before I leave, I will get like an inventory, like a drug bust style photo, you know, where they have everything lined up and we can look at all the parts and yeah, maybe we can figure out like this kind of thing, you know, could be useful as we build this, or maybe it's cheaper and easier to just buy cheap stuff from Home Depot and build the frame entirely out of that. So either way, alrighty, bye.